either be physical or digital. Physical if I have all the cards. So I think I have all these cards. So let's get into this deck profile. Springans Time Thief. Now this is a casual deck. I just want to make that clear. This is not a super meta deck, even a rogue deck. This is, you're not going to end on too many negates, too many disruptions, but it's pretty fun when it gets going. Sorry for the one wrongly sleeved card. I just had to throw this card in here because you can search for Therian King Regulus in this deck. But yeah, so there's two portions to this deck. There's the Springans portion, and then there's the Time Thief portion. So let's do the Springans portion first. Now, Springans, you can't talk about Springans without talking about their spell cards too. So let's take all that out as well. There is a trap card in here, but it is searchable. But I don't think you're ever really going to search for this unless you have a ton of usable cards in your hand. So it exists. And what this does is you can negate. It's an omni negate. It says when your opponent activates a card or effect, negate that activated effect. So it's an omni negate, which is nice because you have another spell and trap negate from retrograde. So potentially, if you're really lucky, you could get two counter trap negates, which is rare these days. Actually, this is a counter trap, and this is a continuous trap. Anyway, these kind of negates are rare these days, so that's nice. But yeah, I'm getting off topic. Let's pull this out. Let's pull this piece out, which is the spring and spell cards, because you can't talk about one without talking about the other. So this portion of the deck is unique. So the reason why you compare Springans and Time Thief is basically the normal summon portion of your deck, and Springans is the portion of the deck that doesn't require your normal summon. Unfortunately, if you kind of brick, then maybe you do need to normal summon one of these cards. But on normal summon, it doesn't really have great effects like Rocky says. Rocky says you could target a Great Seagull Gonda, which is the field spell, or a Springans monster in your grave, add it to your hand, which doesn't really help set your plays. It's more like recursion. And then the common theme is if this card is in your hand, field, or grave, you could target a Springans Xyz monster you control, attach this card to it as material. And then you could only do that once per turn. So basically, all these monsters act as like free Xyz material. We'll talk about the Serpent in a second. This all acts as like free material for your Xyz monsters. So that's kind of like the gimmick of this deck. So yeah, this can recur the field spell or a monster from your graveyard. Brother says if this card is sent from the hand or a deck to the grave, you target another Springans in your grave, except Brothers, special summon it. So if this is sent, you could special summon another card in your graveyard. Pedor says you could tribute this card. So if this special or normal, right? You tribute this card, then target a Springans in your grave, except Pedor, special summon it. So yeah, like I said, there's no real good effects for these level 4s. I mean, the level 8s. So Baranga, if this card is your hand, okay, that's the attaching thing. You can banish this card and one Springans monster with a different name. Add a Springans card from your deck to your hand. So yeah, that's a graveyard effect. And Sargos says, during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can detach a material from an Xyz you control, then target a face-up card on the field, destroy it. Yeah, so none of these cards can really help set up your plays, unfortunately. And then the Sovereign Serpent of Golgonda, Basically, this is just a free special summon off of having the field spell. So you'll search this out. I'll show you the combo at the end. I'll show you a 1-card combo and a 2 to 3 card combo. Just to show what this deck can do. But basically, yeah, the Springans monsters don't do too much on their own. They're not like 1-card starters or anything like that. But Great Grand Sea Golgonda, this is like the most important card to go through. So basically it says, okay, all Xyz gain 1,000 attack. If you control no Springans Xyz, you can discard a Springans card. That's any Springans card. Special summon a Springans Xyz from your extra deck. Just straight up. So that's like the cool part about this deck. As long as you have 2 Springans cards, it could even be the same 2 cards. You just discard it and you can start your plays, which is nice. So this gives you an automatic Springans Xyz. Then it has another effect which doesn't really come up, but yeah, the field spell is how this deck works. Now, in addition to that, you have Springans Watch, which allows you to, which is a normal spell card, which allows you to add the field spell. I should just put this way. What am I doing? Which allows you to add the field spell from your deck to your hand. And then if you already have this in the field, you could add a Springans monster from your deck to your hand. And then in addition to that, send a Springans monster from your deck to the graveyard. So this is great to have in your hand with the field spell. Because basically what you could do is activate the Gold Golgonda, then activate Springans Watch, so that then you could add a Springans monster from your deck to your hand, and then send another monster. Probably not Brothers though, because Brothers needs a monster in the graveyard to work. So actually, that sequence is wrong. Actually, yeah, the sequence is you would activate Gold Golgonda. Then you would. Nope, that's all you could do. I thought you could just have the monster in your hand to discard, so you could revive with Brothers. But yeah, it doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, yeah, that is the best sequence. So yeah, you activate the field spell, then you activate Springans Watch for the most benefit. Then you have Springans Booty and the newest card, Tally-Ho Springans. Springans Booty is more of like a continuous protection card, but it also says, and this also negates an opponent's monster. So it says you could send this face-up card to the grave, activate one Great Sand Sea Gold Golgonda directly from your deck or grave. And potentially you could play 3 of this, but you're just gonna run out of room in your deck. I guess if you're playing pure Springans, you can play 3 of these. But when you have these two engines combined together, it's just kind of hard to stick it all in there. Tally-Ho Springans is really cool. So what this says is when you activate this card, you could also detach up to 3 materials for monsters you control. Add a Springans monster from your deck to your hand. Then if you detach any materials, you could special summon that many Springans from your hand or grave. And then you could add this back if you have material on your Xyz. So this is a really cool card. This is usually what you search from your Sargus if you're not searching Therian King Regulus. So if you don't have access to this, you kind of have to search it as your main play. Otherwise, you could search for Therian King Regulus. And that is basically the Springans engine portion. Now for the Time Thief. Time Thief is even older. And even older. And I have these like Xyz like spell and trap cards, which are kind of interesting to talk about, so we'll talk about that in a second. So Time Thief is, I don't know how old this deck is, but basically what they're able to do is get a few XEs on board, at least 1 to 2 XEs you would get on board. And Redoer is kind of like an annoying card because if you've seen it in Tearlament's meta, basically the card just never goes away. And with Redoer, they're able to steal your top card. And then if it's a trap, they get some disruption. Otherwise, they're able to draw a card. So it's just kind of an annoying card. It doesn't do too much disruption, but it's just hard to get rid of. And also the other Time Thief card kind of refills Redoer's Xyz materials. So that's kind of what Time Thief does. It doesn't do too much, but like I said, the trap cards are nice. Some of the spell cards are nice, and then running Xyz, we could talk about these generic Xyz traps, spells and traps. So we'll talk about that right after this. So the main card is Regulator. This is what you want to see. If you don't see Regulator, then there are ways to get 2 bodies on the board with the other cards. Oh, I didn't talk about Kit. Because Kit combines with another card. We'll talk about that in a second. Then Regulus. So, like I said, so this is the 1 card combo because this special summons up to 2 Time Thief cards. But Winder can special summon if you have an Xyz monster with material. And if this is normal summon, you could add a Time Thief card from your deck to your hand. And usually you want to add Bezel Ship because this can revive from the graveyard. If you detach material from an Xyz monster you control. The purpose of the other cards, so this says you contribute this card, then target a monster your opponent controls, banish it until the end phase. If this card is in your grave, you could target a Time Thief control except temporal, return that to the hand if you do a special summon this, but banish it when it leaves the field. So it's an interesting tech card. I don't know how important this is to include in the main deck, but I just wanted to include it. Chrono Croter is the other monster that they have. It says during your opponent's battle phase, you contribute this card. The next battle damage you take, it's inflicted to your opponent instead. So that's nice. It's a nice defensive card. And then it says if face-up Xyz you control leaves the field by card effect, while this is in your grave, you can special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. So if your opponent removes one of your Xyz, you can special summon this, and then this can help you reflect like battle damage one time. So it's nice. Obviously not the best card in the world, but it does something, right? I just wanted to include it. And then Adjuster says if you normal or special summon a Time Thief monster, except Adjuster, you can special summon this card from your hand. So unfortunately, it misses timing if you just add it to your hand from Winder. But if you had this in your hand with Winder or any of the others, then you can special summon this card. This is normal or special. You can send a Time Thief card from your deck to the grave. So yeah, I only run 1 of these. I mean, I guess it's nice if you're running a pure Time Thief deck to run more of these, because this is like the main extender of the deck. But in a combined deck, I'm only running 1 of these. So yeah, we'll get into the combos at the end. But yeah, these are the monsters. Talk about Springans Kit really quick. So this combines with Brandon and High Spirits. So what Springans Kit says is if you have a fusion monster that mentions Fallen Albaz as material on your field or in your grave, you can special summon this from your hand. If this is normal or specialed, you can add to your hand one of your branded spells or traps that is banned. This is how you recur branded fusion if it was banished. Then place 1 card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. So this is the only beast in this whole like machine deck. Machine, I think one of the cards is Psychic. But this is cool if you have access to branded using cards in your extra deck. So basically, what you could do is Brandon High Spirit says reveal one monster in your hand and send one level 8 fusion from your extra deck with the same type that is 2400 attack or defense, which is you know I guess you could have a beast one, but most likely just a machine one. And I don't have it in my deck. I don't think I have that in my deck, but there is a machine level 8 fusion that you could send to pair with Brandon and High Spirits. Um, and then it says discard the revealed monster, and if you do, add a fallen Abaz, which you don't have, or a monster that mentions it from your deck to your hand, which is Springans Kit. Then this can special summon because you have the fusion in the grave. So this is a good way to get a level 4 body, and it has synergy with the deck. It does take up an extra deck space, so it's just something to consider. It's pretty cool. It's not the best, but it's pretty cool, right? So then you have your Time Thief spell cards. This is a continuous spell card, which allows your cards to attack directly. So it's not like the most useful like when you're trying to combo, but it lets your cards attack directly. Time Thief Startup says special summon a Time Thief monster from your hand. Quick effect. During your main phase. You can banish this from your grave, then target and exceeds the control. Attach 3 Time Thief cards of different type from your grave. So this is a nice handy card. You also have a few traps. I spoke about the Springans trap. I spoke about Retrograde. These are Spell and Trap Negate and Omni Negate. Power Reserve. I mean, like I said, this is a casual deck. Like, these aren't the best cards in the world. Just to let you know. But this says special summon this card as a normal monster. Then you can special summon a Machine Time Thief from your hand, deck, or grave. If you control an Xyz that has both a spell and trap as material, you can banish this from your grave, banish a card on the field. It's a decent effect. Like I said, nothing too powerful. Flyback says target a Time Thief Xyz you control. Attach a Time Thief from your hand or deck to it as material. You can banish this from your grave, then target a Time Thief Xyz you control. Attach one card from your opponent's grave to it as material. So it's a decent disruption, especially if they have traps in there. I mean, just looking at this, it just looks kind of obscene to have 1, 2, 3, 4 traps, and we didn't even talk about the generic ones. So like in most decks, you run like 1, maybe 2 traps. So ideally you would only run like these 2 traps. But if you're willing to try, I just wanted to show these cards off because they exist. Are they any good to play? 4 of these? Probably not. Maybe you run 3. Like just take a look at these generic ones. So you have Xyz Import, which is a quick effect. So if you like, you can't really search these, but you could set it and activate it during your opponent's turn if you go first, right? If you go second, this is quick effect. So this could also work as a disruption on your opponent's turn. If they go first. Target an Xyz you control and a monster your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to it. Attach that opponent's monster to your monster's material. It's a good disruption if you're going first. Going second, the chances of this working are pretty slim, but it's an okay effect, right? It's a disruption. Xyz Tribal Rivals. So this says face up Xyz on the field with 2 or more materials cannot be destroyed by card effects. I think Time Thief Hack has a similar statement in there. After damage calculation, if your Xyz battle an opponent's monster while this card is already face up in your spell and trap zone, destroy that opponent's monster. This Xyz must have 2 or more materials to activate this effect. So the card destruction protection is nice. If they don't know you have this up your sleeve, then maybe the opponent wastes just one of their cards on you. But yeah, this isn't the best card in the world. I'll admit that. I just wanted to show it off. Xyz Reborn. Target an Xyz in your grave, special summon it, and if you do, attach this card to it as material. So this is nice. Is this going to see play over like hand traps or board breakers or utility cards? I don't know, but it exists. So yeah, let's quickly go over the extra deck, and then I'll go into a 1 card combo, and then like I said, a 2 or 3 card combo. It's 2 or 3 cards because, like I said, Springans needs 2 Springans cards to make the combo work. And then if you combine that with a Time Thief card, that's 2 to 3 cards. So let's get into this. This is all like out of order. Anyway. So you have Springans Merrymaker, which is the main card of the Springans engine. And if this card is special summoned, you can send a Springans from your deck to the grave. Okay. Then it has some other effect which you don't really use. X-Blower is kind of unique in that you could choose one of your opponent's monster or spell and trap zones, detach any materials, and if you do, destroy the same number of cards your opponent controls in the chosen zone and adjacent zones. It's kind of weird in that sense that you could destroy cards around a card. So yeah, it's non-targeting, so that's nice. Non-targeting destruction. But yeah, just a tool you have in your toolbox. Sargus is the other main card in this deck. So it says you can Xyz Sargus by using 1 Springans Xyz you control. Transfers materials to this card. When this card has material, you could add a Springans or a Therian card from your deck to your hand. And then it has a disruption. If a material is attached to a monster on the field, you can target a card on the field, either destroy it or return it to the hand. So, it has non-destruction removal. It is targeting though. But yeah, this gives you disruption, searches for a Springans card, or searches for Therian King Regulus, which is an Omni Negate. Then you have your generic level 8s, which pair with that Serpent card that I was talking about. And how you search for the Serpent card is King of the Feral Imps. 2 level 4s. Once returned, you detach material, add a reptile from your deck to your hand. Gigantex is another way to extend. You can add a level 4 or lower machine from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So that's nice. These are your generic level 8s you go into. There's many more, but this is just what I picked. So this is because this is the spell negate, and you could always make use of those. Time Thief wise, you don't really need 2 Perpetuas. I just have it. I think 2 Redoers is good. 1 double barrel and 1 Perpetua is probably what you want. But Redoer, has the effects like depending on the material it has. So monster, banish this card until the end phase. Spell card, draw a card. Trap card, place 1 face-up card your opponent controls on the top of the deck. So it has 1 form of disruption if you have a trap card attached to it, but otherwise it doesn't do much. Perpetua, so what this says is you can attach a material from this card, then target a Time Thief monster in your grave, except Perpetua, special summon that monster, which is nice. But then quick effect, you could target another Xyz you control, attach 1 Time Thief card from your deck to it as material. So you could attach a trap card from your deck to Redoer. That's a way to get disruption. And double barrel kind of acts similarly. When an opponent when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can detach up to 3 different types of material from this card, then apply the following effects in sequence. Monster, this gains 400 attack. Spell, take control of one face-up monster your opponent controls until the end phase, but it cannot declare an attack or activate its effects. Trap, negate the effects of one effect monster on the field until the end of this turn. So this is kind of like a weaker version of Redoer. I rarely go into it, but it's just, it's an option you have. It's a tool, right? So let's just go into the 2 combos I spoke about. This is probably going to be not that fast. I mean, I'll just be honest. But we're gonna try. We're gonna try and speed this up for you. So let's just clean this up. Okay. Like I said, the first combo, we're just going to assume that we just have Regulator. Let's just show you what it can do, and then we'll do another combo. All right. So activate Regulator after you normal summon it. So you can search for. You can special summon 2 type thief monsters with different names. Okay. So we're gonna go Winder and Bezel Ship. I think Adjuster is better because you could send Bezel Ship. So we're gonna do Adjuster. So this is in the graveyard, right? So Winder can search for a Time Thief card, and Adjuster can send a Time Thief card from your deck to the grave. All right. So we're gonna search for. You can either search for a spell card, but in my opinion, the trap is better. So I'm gonna go Retrograde. So yeah, Retrograde. Usually you put this face down, but just to show. So we're gonna search Retrograde, and then Adjuster is gonna send Bezel Ship. This can special summon itself. So then we'll go into. So yeah, you have 2 options here. You can either continue to just play continue to just play Time Thief, or you could go into Springans. There's 2 ways you could go about it. You could either go directly into your Springans engine, because this can go into Merrymaker and then into Sargus. That's one way you could go. And then Sargus can search for Therian King Regulus, which gives you an Omni Negate. You have a pop with Sargus. So let me just show you really quick. So you could go. So you go into Merrymaker, then that can go into Sargus without losing any material. Oh, first of all, if this card is special summoned, you can send a Springans from the deck to the grave. So I'll show you both ways. So you special summon this, right? You send a Springans card. So there's options there as well, right? So you could send Rocky, which doesn't have too many effects in your graveyard right now. Brothers, same thing. Pedor, same thing. So the best card will probably be Branga. This can search. So you send Branga. This can search if you send another if you get another Springans in the grave, right? So that's the on summon effect of Merrymaker. Then you can go into Sargus, right? And Sargus says, while this card is material, you can add a Springans or Therian from your deck to your hand. And, you know, ideally you would just want to add Therian King because that's just like the strongest card you have in this deck. So you could add Therian King, right? And then it says, yeah, but then, yeah, then you have retrograde and no way to go into your place, to go into a time thief monster. So unfortunately, yeah, in this way, in this route, you cannot actually search for King Regulus because your combo kind of just stops here after thinking about it. So unfortunately, you can't go into Regulus. You have to search for the Springans card, and the best Springans card to search for is Tallyho Springans. So you activate Tallyho Springans and says you can detach up to 3 materials from monsters you control. Add a Springans from your deck to your hand. And then if you detach any, you can special summon that many Springans. So you activated this. You detach the 3 materials. So this has no materials. You add a Springans card. So Rocky can add. Let me just show you. So Rocky can add a Springans in your grave for your hand. So that's something you could do because this is going to get special summoned right away. Brothers doesn't do anything on summon. Pedor, you could tribute this and then revive the Branga. So that we're going to go that way. We're going to go with Pedor. So we're going to go Pedor here. So Pedor. So this says special summon that many Springans monster from your hand or grave. This is technically a Springans monster, right? It doesn't talk about level or anything else. And then Branga is here. Okay. And then tribute this. Yeah, that didn't actually do anything. So Pedor is not as useful as I thought. I screwed up this combo. So instead of Pedor, would you want Rocky? Or would you want Brothers? I mean, with Sargus and Branga, you can go into level 8, right? So, change my mind. Let's go into Captain Sargus instead of Pedor. Sorry for that. Screwed up that combo. Well, yeah, this is just sitting here, not really doing anything. So these two can go into a level 8 Xyz, maybe Hope Harbinger. Right? Then you got Sargus. If this detaches material, you could pop or return a card to the hand. Does Tallyho Springans do anything in the grave? During your main phase, if this card in your grave, you target Xyz on the field, detach a material from it, add it to this card to the hand. So you can add this back to the hand. you've detached from your Hope Harbinger. And this doesn't have any effect in the grave without another Springans card. So yeah, search for retrograde with nothing to do with it. So yeah, this is probably not the best search when you're doing the one card combo. In hindsight, right? Retrograde doesn't do anything with without a Time Thief card. So instead, search for Flyback. No. These traps don't really do anything unless you have a Time Thief XEs. So instead of all that, use Time Thief Hack. This gives your XEs destruction protection during the turn that they are summoned. Not the best, but this is one card going into the Springans engine. I had just had to showcase it, right? This video is getting kind of long, but let's quickly go into what you would do. So we just go back to the step where we made Merrymaker. So instead of making Merrymaker, we're going to instead go Time Thief. Or we could, or we could go Gigantex, right? Well, either go Time Thief or Gigantex. Those are the two options, right? So unfortunately, one card doesn't do too much in Time Thief Springans. Unless there's a better combo out there that I'm unaware of, and I probably am unaware of the better combo. Okay. So you have these two, this in the grave, right? So then what do? You search. So this sends a card to the graveyard, which is Bezel Ship. That's the same because that's the best choice there. And then the the Time Thief card, you add. I still think it's the retrograde trap. So then we really do have to just go. We do just have to go into Time Thief, right? So if we go Redoer here, so we go Redoer. So right now you just have a Spell and Trap negate, and stealing an opponent's card doesn't do much. But Bezel Ship says you can detach an material from an XE you control, special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field. So special summon this, detach. Winder. And then this is another. It's not really a disruption. Actually, it is. You could attach a card from your opponent's grave to that monster as material. There you go. And the other way you can go, so you could end on this with the retrograde, the disruptions that Times the Redoer can provide, and this can detach. This can attach an opponent's card to Redoer as well. So it's 3 forms of disruption. Not bad, but it's time thief only. So if you instead wanted to go into the Gigant X, so you go. Just curious, does this actually do anything? No, because all you do is add the card to your hand. So yeah, that is the 1-card combo. We're finally over the 1-card combo. Jeez Louise, man. So let's just assume this is what you did with your 1-card Time Thief combo, right? So you end up with this over here. You have this in the graveyard, right? So this is your setup so far. But you only use 1 card and your normal summon to do that, right? So in addition to that, you would need 2 Springans cards to really jumpstart the combo. Ideally a monster and a spell, and I say that because the more monsters you have, the more materials you get, you know? So if you had the 1 regulator, right, to set this up, which is a spell trap negate, the Redoer, suck a card from the opponent's, top of the deck, and what other disruptions it could provide, and then steal a card from the opponent's graveyard. Hopefully that's a disruption, you can just move these to the side. And then the other engine, if you had 2 cards of it, like I said, this video is going a little long, so we're trying to speed this up. So so you activate Great Grand Sea Golconda, you discard Springans Rocky for its effect, and then you could immediately Xyz into Merrymaker, right? But it has no material. But this says if this is special summoned, you could send a Springans from your deck to the grave. And you could either go Brothers, because this can revive Rocky for another Xyz. And I really think that is the way to go, because you could send Branga, and that can banish both of these, but why would you want to do that? Because you could just search for Branga anyway. Right? Am I right? No. You could search for Pedor, which could then search for Branga. Oh, I'm still wrong, because Pedor only works with the graveyard. So it's either Brothers or Branga, okay? So you send Brothers, then you could bring back, by Brothers effect, Brothers and Rocky. This this doesn't have any effect, Rocky, right now. So you can go 2 ways here. You can either go into Gigant X, or you can go into King of the Feral Imps to get your level 8. So those are the 2 ways you can go here. You also have Bezel Ship here as another material. So yeah, I think Gear Gigant X is the way to go here. Let's just see what happens. So if you go into Gear Gigant X, you detach Rocky. Okay? Detach Rocky. You search for. I think we're cooking with gas now. You search for Pedor. Okay? Are we cooking with gas? Oh no. You. Pedor in the hand has no effect besides attaching itself to Merrymaker as material. Same thing with Rocky. Um, right? So the only thing you could do here is to go into your Sargus. We're running low on time here. Go into your Sargus. Sargus on summon says you can add a Springans or Therian from your deck to your hand. So the question is, do you go for Springans or do you go for Regulus? And in this situation, I would go for Regulus. Where is he? Here. Okay, so you got Regulus in your hand. Then yeah, you could either go for that or you go for Tally-Ho, right? And then Tally-Ho can give you a little more extension. Well, yeah, this is the end board then. So you got Therian King Regulus, which has Regulator attached to it. So you have Omni Negate, Spell and Trap Negate, whatever disruptions this can provide. This can pop a card if you detach a card from either this or this. This can attach an opponent's monster from the graveyard to the card. So yeah, this is what 3 cards can do with Time Thief Springans. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 4 to 5 disruptions. This doesn't do anything. And then this says if a face-up XYZ leaves the field by card effect, you can target a monster your opponent controls that cannot attack for the rest of the turn. So then you have a little bit of protection as well. So 4 disruptions for 3 cards. It's not the best. Like I said, this is casual. But yeah, this is what I could come up with. This, at this point, I think there's more, nastier combos out there. I'm not the best Yu-Gi-Oh player by any means. I feel like there's another rank 4 XCs we could get out of these cards, but this is all I could come up with. I hope this helped you guys out. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this helped you figure out Springans Time Thief, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Take care.